You're listening to Unity Online Radio, the voice of an awakening world.
Thank you for tuning in for this Unity Partner Program. Unity Online Radio partners with spiritual leaders from organizations whose mission and messages complement Unity's. We are pleased to bring you this program on Unity Online Radio, the voice of an awakening world.
Welcome to Living on Purpose with psychology doctoral candidate Jesse Herriott from Atlanta, Georgia. Are you ready to make the switch? A switch from barely living to living on purpose. During the next hour, you will discover principles to help you live a fully functioning, conscious, and purposeful life. The all is mind, and so are you. Let's live on purpose. Now, here's your host, Jesse Herriott.
Welcome to Living on Purpose. I'm your host, Jesse Herriott. Just want to thank you for joining us. Today we have an exciting and very, very stimulating, very powerful guest. On this show, we'll be talking about how you can shift from living a life on autopilot to become fully engaged and present with the presence. This presence which is all-pervasive and all-powerful. And this presence lives deep on the inside of you. In this hour, we'll be discussing how you can really live on purpose, and the way to do that is to first and foremost become in tune with your authentic self. And also, you can't be who you want to be at the expense of who you really are. That's why getting in touch with your true nature is very important. This is going to be the key to our show, and it's also the key to living a more purposeful, present, and peaceful life. I'm Jesse Herriott again. And we welcome this week for our show Bishop Carlton Pearson, the senior pastor of New Dimension Chicago, an award-winning recording artist, author, and international speaker to the program. Bishop Pearson, are you there?
Yes, sir. I'm here. Good morning, sir.
Good morning to you as well, Bishop Pearson. And also, I was informed that a happy birthday is in order as well.
Yeah, yesterday. Thank you. I turned 59 yesterday.
Oh, wow. I was told you were turning 25, you know.
Say that again?
I said I was told you were turning 25.
Well, I've actually been 40 now for 19 years. I stopped at 40. This is my 19th year of being 40.
That's amazing. That is amazing. So, Bishop Pearson, we're going to go right in. We've been looking forward to this interview, and we know that your time is very valuable. And for all of our listeners out there, Unity Online Radio, you can also if you like, post questions and comments for the bishop or for the host on Facebook.com.
You're breaking up just a little bit, Jesse.
I'm breaking up. I do apologize about that. I believe the engineers are working on that right now as we speak. Is it better now, Bishop?
No, I can hear just every other word, so I'm missing some of what you're saying.
Do apologize about that. The technical difficulties there. I believe they're
still breaking.
Still breaking up?
Keep going. Let's see. I think so. In and out, in and out. I don't know what the...
Okay. Yes, sir. They are working on that.
Okay.
Okay. Is it better now? Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir. I do hear you.
Okay. Awesome. We're going to go right in, Bishop. As I was saying, I know you're very busy. We want to talk to you today about around our theme. We listened to a message on last week. You did it some time ago. The title of the message was Shift Happens. And one of the questions that came up, a lot of us that were preparing for the show, we were talking about how we can manage these critical times in which shifts and changes are necessary. Any points or comments that you would like to, or if you want to just go ahead in on how we can manage these shifts and changes in our lives, you're more than welcome.
Well, first of all, life is organic, and that means it's constantly changing and evolving. Like every 30 days, you have a whole new outer skin. You know, you have several trillion cells, and you lose about 500 million a day. Sometimes you look at you can see the dead cells. They look like ash, as we call it, rust. You know, it's easier to notice it on people of color, but white folks have it too. They just don't know it. That's constantly. You have constant change. Your organs change. Every 30 days, you're constantly evolving. Shift happens. There's a global shift in religious sensibilities more today than any time in recent years. People are asking themselves, what do I believe? Why do I believe it? And how those beliefs add to or subtract from the quality of my life. They're asking things like, what do I believe about me? Why do I believe that about me? And how do those beliefs about me add to or subtract from the quality of my being? Human beings being human. So there's a lot of, it crosses all religious barriers. Why am I here? Why are these things shifting in the globe, in the universe? Warming. We go out of the age of Pisces to the age of Aquarius, and water and floods and global warming and glaciers melting and tsunamis and the moisture, the water-bearing man. Moisture represents mystery or mist and mysticism. And so we're going from religion into more of a mystical appraisal. In the farthest reaches and regions and rhythms of consciousness, there is a new expression and a new experience of ourselves. And people don't use that terminology necessarily, but they're saying, wait a minute, why am I feel something. I'm energized by something, but I can't put my finger on it, but I know I'm shifting, I know I'm changing, and so I say to the audience, don't protest it, don't contest it, investigate it.
Right.
Ask yourself, why am I feeling this, and what does this mean? Have a conversation with your own confusion.
Right.
Have a conversation with your own imagination. Let your imagination speak to you and clarify and verify itself. These are exciting times to be alive and alert, but you don't need to be alarmed.
Right. And that is amazing. You said
people like Whitney Houston and Michael Jackson and others who were trying to go to sleep, and some of them actually, as you know, lost their lives trying to deaden their senses. They were afraid to be alert because when they're alert, they're alarmed. You there?
Right. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I am definitely here. Hello? Yes, sir. Bishop, you still there?
I done lost you.
Bishop, hello? Still live. I do apologize, listeners, for the inconvenience. Bishop, we were live with Bishop Carlton Pearson, and we lost him briefly, and the engineers are working hastily to get him back on the line. What the bishop was referring to was the shifting and changes that are taking place in us, and as you are well aware, sometimes technology has to adjust itself to keep up with the shifting and changes as well. We are constantly, and they are dialing Bishop back now.
I lost you. I'm back.
Yes, sir. Bishop.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. I do apologize. This has never happened before, ever.
Well, I hear you a lot clearer now, so something must have changed, so that's good.
Yes, sir. We are shifting and evolving.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, sir, it's that essence that you're giving off. Technology is shifting and evolving to keep up. We're evolving so fast.
There's a whole lot of new energy happening, and it's affecting everything, I think. That's good.
Yeah, I know. Bishop, you said a mouthful, and one of the things that really resonated with me among everything that you said, it reminded me of my experience in college. I remember sitting down in Starbucks because I'm from a small town, and I won't say the name of the town in South Carolina, but I left in order to pursue my education. But before I left, I wrecked my world. My world was turned upside down. And my belief system wasn't compatible with the experiences that I was having. And it was almost like I outgrew my belief system. Can you talk about that, Bishop? What happens to you, and how do you deal with that conflict that happens? I know you addressed it, but could you dig a little further in that? When you outgrow, or it feels like you're outgrowing your belief system, it shatters your entire world. Family structures sometimes, because belief systems, family structures are built around those as well. It can shatter your finances because sometimes you're financially dependent, on the situations that are connected with that belief structure.
Howard Thurman, one of my favorite writers and thinkers and philosophers and mystics, said this: don't ask what the world needs. Ask what makes you come alive and go do it. Because what the world needs is people who have come alive. When what you're doing, and the most traumatic thing that happened to me, Jesse, when I was in the other consciousness, was I got bored with my life. I got bored with my ministry. We had thousands in the church, thousands in our conference. Our conference attracted as many as 50,000 people. I was recording, had Stellar Awards for recording. My books were doing well. My television ministry was doing well. But I was bored. I was empty. I was not being satiated at all. And I kept thinking, and it was years, why am I not feeling satiated? I'm not feeling satisfied. I don't even feel certified or verified anymore. That was deep calling to deep. Something was calling me out to expand my consciousness. And that shift started taking place inside, begin to change my thinking. And because I wasn't coming alive, there's a lot of people in ministry or in some aspect of life right now that's boring to them, and they're atrophying, and they don't know how to make the shift. The reason they're bored and restless, and the whole world is feeling that right now, is because the universe itself is pushing us to the next level of relativity. We're moving beyond where we've been as we come into this new age. And yes, when that happens, you do things that some people will consider foolish, like you walk away from a job, or you walk away from money or a position or a place. Sometimes relationships shift dramatically because this is a new day. And you actually lose some friends, and you lose a part of yourself that is no longer relevant to who you are. And you don't need to mourn it. Just pass it on and off and move on to the next level. And I keep telling people, what if, Jesse, we in our pre-incarnate reality agreed to come here, but forgot about it? Right. You know, there's a scripture where Jeremiah says, before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. He's referring to a conversation he felt he had with Divine Mind, that before I was formed, I was known by creation and creator and knowledge. I knew you is a very intimate term, so that's covenant term. I knew creation, creation knew me. We agreed to come to this plane or planet of consciousness to experience and express our divinity. Right. And when we do that, we remind other people of their divinities and their homesickness, which causes panic and fear and war. We fight because we're experiencing a kind of spiritual amnesia. We forget that we agreed to come here, and we start protesting, contesting, resenting, and resisting our existence rather than embracing our existence, owning our truth, and honoring it, the fact that we really do love each other. We really do want and need and are inextricably, inseparably connected to each other. Universe, one verse, version, or versification of the whole. That's what universalism is. It is that we are tied to one another in covenant, but when we refuse to acknowledge and accept that, it causes pain and tension.
This is very powerful. We are listening right now to Bishop Carlton Pearson, for those of you that are just tuning in, and we're talking about how to make the shift in your own life and how to adjust to those shifts that are happening around you. Bishop Pearson, you said something also that was very powerful. You mentioned the word love when you were talking, and love is a very, very compelling force in the universe, and it sustains all life, and it should be at the foundation of all of the various paths that are out there. And Dr. Beckwith said something, Michael Beckwith, when he was addressing the United Nations, I believe it was last month. He said that if these principles that you're referring to aren't at the foundation of your path, then perhaps it's not a true path.
Powerful. And they're not just words. We have these beautifully written didaches or teachings or instructions and doctrines all over the planet. But to actually walk out these things and to live them and to go back and review them, I think would refresh our memories that the universe already has a strategized plan for us to get along with each other and improve the place and space. But we have substituted them with legalism and dogma that separate us rather than unite us. People are looking for significance. What is the sign or significant? What is my assignment or designment or signature or significant? What is the signal or sign that I send out into the universe? And do I have anything to do with that? The most common way to give up your significance is to think you don't have any. Everybody walks with signs and signals. As Jesus once says, these signs follow them who believe. And I always interpret that to say, these signs or signals or significance follows those who believe in themselves. What you believe about yourself, the signs or significance of your life are determined by what you believe. What you believe about yourself, or with regards to yourself. If I believe I'm a victim, that's the signal I send out. Victimize me. I'm a victim. Hurt me, hit me, cut me, curse me, kill me. But when your significance that I'm a child of God, I'm a child of divinity, I'm a child of purpose and destiny, I'm my authentic self, I'm my even authentic, authorized, even autistic, if you will. That is I am myself, same self. I am my individualized, pointed, significant self, and I connect to every other individualized, pointed, significant self. We connect. We're one of the whole. And when we identify that and embrace that, like somebody said, sometimes I pretend to be normal, but then that gets boring, so I go back to being me.
Right. Right.
Who are you? And when we ask that question and find that question, the United Nations needs to listen to a whole lot of Michael Beckwiths.
Oh, yeah.
Let some spiritual people come in and some mystic people come in and really bring that thing together. That's the one missing link, so I'm glad they received it. I knew he was going, and that's very, very powerful.
Yeah, that was a very, very powerful time. Bishop Pearson, you said something else that's very great. Lots of exciting information. I hope everyone is listening and definitely taking this in. And if you have a pen and pad and you're listening, please, by all means, write this information down. The authentic self. Is there a risk involved with becoming in tune with your authentic self? Because, again, sometimes we spend time, like, for instance, in education. If you listen to society, it tells us to go out and become educated and get jobs and become good little citizens, and you're sitting in the classroom and you're getting the philosophy in the English class for those of you that are in college. But what if you're sitting in a class and you've found yourself to have graduated and gotten a degree, but it's contrary to who you really are? If education was really focused on helping us to become in line or at one, atonement, at one meant with who we really are, then maybe, we can achieve these things that we're talking about and get adjusted to these shifts early on.
Well, authenticity, or your authorized self, your authentic self, makes you vulnerable because it exposes you as you really are and not as you really aren't. We spend our lives, most people spend their lives impersonating who they think people want them to be. And they become an imposter. And you get so used to playing that role till you either forget or never really encounter who you really are. And one day you wake up to the fact that you are acting this role out, doing this role playing, and you don't like it anymore. And you say, wait a minute, that's not me. Why am I doing that? And then that everything in your life kind of changes, and it seems dramatic and almost traumatic for some people because there's some major shifts. If we just start teaching our children from, realize that we're not raising children, we're raising adults. We always say, I got to raise these children. You ain't raising children. You're raising adults. And teach them to be authentic from the beginning. Observe them. Watch them evolve. Guide them along, but don't try to make them somebody that they're not. And that's what many people wrestle with today. They are who their parents wanted them to be or they tried to be, and then they break out and say, well, that's really not me. I got that degree. I studied with my mom or dad or somebody told me to study, but that's not really who I am. I'm doing this job, and I'm doing a good job of it, but I'm very unhappy. I'm atrophying, or I'm losing myself. So when you embrace your authentic self, you go back to the metaphor of nudity in the Garden of Eden. When there's a powerful passage in Genesis where it says Adam and Eve were naked and felt no shame. How can you be completely vulnerable, exposed, expressed, and feel no shame? That's where we're all supposed to be, where we can actually be our complete, free, authentic selves and feel no shame and no sham. people don't like looking at themselves nude. They don't look at. They're uncomfortable even in the shower. Or the bathtub. As soon as they get out of the shower, or the bathtub, the first thing is grab a towel, not just to dry off, but to cover up. And it's like, who are you hiding from? Ain't nobody in there but you. But you. That's that few seconds of vulnerability. It's like the culture has said, don't be you. Hide. Cover up. Be ashamed of who you are. You don't like your nose. You don't like your toes. You don't like your eyes. You don't like your thighs. You don't realize how we don't realize how we nitpick at ourselves constantly because of something that we learned as a child. You're not good enough. You're not smart enough. You're too tall. You're too short. You're too skinny. You're too fluffy. You're too this. And so we're feeling these extremes, and you're trying to jump through all these hoops and holes so somebody can like you. But the question always is this, and that's what I learned, Jesse. When my consciousness expanded and I began to embrace inclusion and believe that God loved everybody and that everybody is connected inextricably, and thousands of people walked away from me, I had to make a decision. They don't like you anymore. Maybe they don't love you. But that's not the important issue. The important issue now, Carlton, is do you like you or love you? How do you experience you? What do you believe about you? What do you know about you? What do you experience? How do you experience and express yourself? I was 50 years old, and I'm thinking, my God, I've never been confronted with me so directly. Now they don't like me, but that's not the important point. Do I like me?
Right. Being comfortable with yourself. And on that note, we're going to have to take a small break. I'm Jesse Herriott today, talking with Bishop Carlton Pearson, Senior Pastor of New Dimension Chicago, best-selling author and international spiritual leader. His latest book, God is Not a Christian, nor a Jew, Muslim, or Hindu. God dwells with us, in us, around us, as us. It's available at your local bookstores worldwide and online through Barnes & Noble and SimonandSchuster.com. When we return, we'll continue the conversation with Bishop Pearson on Living on Purpose.
If Unity Online Radio has helped you grow spiritually through programs like this one, please consider supporting this online radio programming. Visit www.unity.fm and click on Donate Now. Thank you for helping us continue to serve as the voice of an awakening world.
Are you ready for deeper spiritual breakthroughs? Have you wondered how to apply spiritual principles to your everyday life in practical ways? Do you feel your soul is calling you to deeper purposes? Join Reverend Galen McDowell live every Wednesday at 10 a.m. Central for Truth Transforms, a discussion on how God within you, as you, is the power to transform your life. If you really believe that consciousness determines your experiences and that you are an individualized expression of God, join us as we help awaken and transform the consciousness of humanity. We will discuss, through lecture, live interviews, and call-in questions, spiritual healing, prayer, prosperity, forgiveness, new thought views about eternal life, and much more. The world is waiting for your truth transformation, only on Unity Online Radio.
You've been listening to Living on Purpose with Jesse Herriott. If you have a question or comment about today's broadcast, or if you'd like to join in the discussion, friend us on Facebook at Jesse Herriott or email us at livingonpurpose@unity.fm. Now, more Living on Purpose.
We're talking today with Bishop Carlton Pearson, author of God is Not a Christian, nor a Jew, Muslim, Hindu, God dwells with us, in us, around us, as us. I'm Jesse Herriott, your host. When we left off, we were covering some exciting information, folks. One of the points that we left off at was talking about being comfortable with your authentic self. I'll let Bishop Pearson finish it. being comfortable with your authentic self. You gave the parable of us being naked and being comfortable with ourselves. You said sometimes, when we're even drying off, just for example, we're not trying to dry off, we're trying to cover up. Can you elaborate on that a little bit for us?
The whole religion, as we have been experiencing and expressing it in the universe for the last several thousand years, has brought a sense of guilt, criminality, and shame to the human experience and the human expression. And so we don't really realize how much shame people wrestle with constantly, day by day, always trying to get approval or affirmation from some outside source, from the idea of a God with a terrible anger management problem who throws tantrums and tornadoes and tsunamis and cancer and AIDS and fiery darts. This whole concept of the gods, quote-unquote, being angry, or God being angry and wrathful, and we run to Jesus to protect us from God. That's what Christianity kind of teaches. We need Jesus to protect. Do we need Jesus to protect us from who we are, from the gods that we are? So this whole idea of anger, and anger is a signal emotion. It signals some other emotion, commotion, or devotion in your life with which you've not properly dealt. So we have to take a good long look at why we are ashamed, and of what are we ashamed? Why are we frightened of ourselves? Why do we not verify and clarify and certify ourselves? Why do we need outside sources to do that? Religion substitutes our spirituality with a form or formula that never really meets the need. So when we go back to authentic self, and I love this, I kind of heard somebody say the other day, pain pushes until vision pulls. When you get tired of the pain, you will allow the vision to pull you to your next destiny. I'm moving from the gospel of illusion to the gospel of inclusion.
Right.
This illusion of life, an illusion of God, an illusion of heaven and hell, and you better watch out, you better not cry, you better not pout. I'm telling you why. Santa Claus or Jesus Christ is coming to town. He's making a list, checking it twice, going to find out who's naughty or nice. That whole mentality of duality, good and evil, God and evil or devil, this whole thing has made the human race almost psychotic. So we identify that. That's not who we are. So when we look at ourselves vulnerable, naked before the universe, we have no shame, because we are who we are, whether you're gay or straight or Methodist or Baptist, or even if you're agnostic or atheist, you're okay as you are. Love yourself, own your truth, honor your truth, be who you are, and be it reverentially. Reverence, not just reference, reverence who you are with confidence and with love. You can't expect somebody else to love you if you don't love you.
Right.
So when we take off the masks and the mascaras or the scary masks and be our authentic, when I say authentic again, I mean my original self. Whoever I came here, pre-incarnately agreed to come here. Before I was formed, the idea that spawned and sponsored my existence in this plane of consciousness, on this planet of consciousness, that idea, that covenant still holds. And when I embrace it, Jesse, my personal confidence and peace is off the chart.
Right.
There's absolutely no sense of panic, fear, insecurity, doubt, self-doubt. When I accept the fact that I am not a victim of destiny or of creation, but I am here of my own volition and agreement, that I've entered a covenant with creation, and I honor the creation working in me, and that I am co-creating my reality based on my consciousness.
Right, that's powerful.
I'm in control of it. I'm not the victim. I can't point to the white man, the black man, the red man, the brown man, the law, the system. The power is in me as me expressing itself with great freedom.
Right.
And then I'm not intimidated by anybody, so I stop dropping bombs on people and trying to fuss and cuss and cut and kill somebody. You just love everybody.
Right. And, this is very powerful because it also gives you a sense of responsibility, because it's like now you don't have a red guy with a pitchfork who's wreaking havoc in your life, you can actually control it. You're not even when you pray, because it changes the way you do everything. Your entire belief structure changes. You don't beg and you don't beseech. You create.
Yeah, you're right, brother. That is so true. That is so true. Precisely.
What are some practical implications that you implement, or some practices that you implement in your daily routine? Because we all have rituals, but there may be some listening right now who, understand everything that you're saying, but aren't sure how they can daily walk this thing out. What are some daily practices that you would recommend that they could implement to help them attain that consciousness and also go beyond that to come in contact or come in alignment with their true selves?
Prayer and meditation, or deep reflecting, thinking, learning how to converse with you. We all talk to ourselves, but we don't all listen. If you listen to yourself or your soul, the Greek word for soul is psyche, English word is psyche.
Mm-hmm.
You listen to your psyche. That is your divine self conversing, talking to you.
Mm-hmm.
It takes a lot of self-reflection and find, even if it's just 5 or 10 minutes of silence, it's a discipline that you learn. God in you, as you, speaks to you, of you.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing God ever says to you is about you. Here's what I mean by that. If I say, I love Jesse, Herriott, I'm saying I love the part of myself that I experience when I'm talking or thinking or when I'm with Jesse. If I say, I don't like Jesse, I'm saying I don't like the part of me that I experience and express. So the only person you'll ever love, not love, like, or not like is you. Everything starts and stops with how you experience yourself. So learning how to do that is to find out who self is. And you can't find that out except by sitting quietly with yourself to get to know you.
Right.
We're not human doings, we're human beings. So learning the being aspect, in God we live and move and possess our being, our essence, not our accidental self, but our essential self, the immortal, immeasurable, immutable self, the non-changeable self. You evolve, but you don't change. That part of you that always is